and mentoring new grads. Please join me in welcoming Naveed and Kelsey.
Hey guys, I'm just gonna take the screen here. Super nice to meet all of you. I'm really excited to do today's presentation. As Catherine mentioned, I'm Naveed. I started Ladderly. You're also gonna meet Kelsey here in a minute. She and I graduated actually University of Alberta 2016. We've been helping a lot of other students, especially new graduates, professional newcomers to Canada, and even some folks in between on getting started. So today's session is essentially engineering career secrets. We want you guys to get a job in engineering. If you guys get a job in engineering, the world becomes a better place. We build bridges, we make electronics, whatever it is. And so it's in my best interest to help you guys, and we want to see you guys succeed. So just super quickly again, I'm Naveed. I work for Canadian Natural Resources Limited. I am a project engineer. I work on a very large portfolio of projects, power lines, radio towers, roads, you name it. I've got a chance to do it. And I've gotten to do a lot of internships during my undergraduate as well. So a lot of different things. I've worked at Shell before. Yeah, but that kind of stuff. Maybe I'll let Kelsey introduce herself here too.
Yeah, thanks, Naveed. My name is Kelsey. I also graduated from the U of A in 2016 with my BSc in Civil and Environmental Engineering. And then I went right on to do my MSc in Geoenvironmental at the U of A as well. So that research project was mostly focused on like oil sands tailings research. And now I've been working in consulting for about 5 years now, kind of moved my way up. And like they mentioned, I work on a lot of contaminated sites and risk assessment projects. So yeah, that's about me.
Awesome. So I guess a big question here is why listen to Kelsey and I? I mean, we're just two regular schmoes. I think what I'm hoping to give you guys here is a little bit of background on what we do. So like I said, we started Ladderly a year ago, and since then we've actually helped over 200 people get jobs, help them with their resumes, whatever. Ladderly essentially is a not-for-profit. We provide free resume reviews, career coaching, like I mentioned before. And it's not just you guys, it's not just U of A. We've also helped U of T, UBC, some American universities, U of S, you name it. So 15 different institutions across the world and 5 countries, which is really, really cool. We're not only limited to engineering, so you can kind of see that little pie chart. We do all the engineering disciplines, and then we also have done a couple of business, education, law, humanities, and computer science. Ladderly also helped its first senior executive land a job this year as well. So it's not just people who are just starting, it's also people who are well into their career and who make a lot more money than I do. So yeah, we're here to try and help you, whatever that is. Okay, Kelsey?
Yeah, we would like to know why you guys are here. What is the dream company that you guys would like to work for? Is that like Meta or Google, Twitter? Stantec for consulting, Exxon. You guys want to put that in the chat for us? Looks like we've got some mechies and electrical engineers. So
yeah, and remember guys, this is the reason that you guys are here. If it's not to cut, like the goal is to get you a job. So let us know what job you want and think big. If it's Google, it's Google. If it's something else, it's something else. But in the chat, let us know what company you want to work for. I see Stantec, that's awesome. I work for Stantec, fantastic company. Oh, Suncor. Suncor is a great company. TELUS, Shell. Oh, I like these. Oh, a lot of people want to work for Shell. Hey, I'm your guy. Worley, Shell. Yeah, a lot of cool companies here. Okay, great. Really happy to see that. Thurber. Oh, that's an interesting one. So we got some potentially a geotech engineer in the crowd. Love geotech. Okay, while these continue to roll in, I want you guys to keep this job in the back of your head. So, for example, Michaela said she wants to work for Thurber. Michaela, I want you to think about, okay, what am I going to learn in this session that's going to help me get that job? Matthew, same thing for you for Tesla. If you want to get a job at Tesla, keep that in mind. So let's try and answer those questions. This session is going to be extremely participatory. There's a ton of polls here. There's a lot of questions that we want you guys to answer. So feel free to type in the box or ask questions as we go along.
all right, so I guess starting off, what do you guys need to get these kinds of jobs? And the first thing is what we think is the easy part. You guys have pretty much already done it. This is like your degree and that sort of stuff. And then next is what should you guys do now? So this is the hard part. So this is any sort of networking and social media, any career and company events, and then your relationships with people. So this is essentially what differentiates you from any of your peers and helps you stand out when you're trying to get a job. And then at the end, Naveed and I are going to break out into two groups. Naveed's going to talk about some like soft engineering skills. So he's the master of, I guess, project management and people management and that sort of engineering. And then I'll dive kind of more into the technical and consulting engineering world at the very end.
So keep in mind, before we do that, there's going to be opportunities to actually volunteer during the session. So if you do want to be a volunteer during the session and have your resume reviewed or something like that, just keep in the back of your mind that that opportunity is coming before we get to the breakouts. Okay, so I want to talk about this visual here. So we call this the getting a job life cycle. Right now, most of you are in this before phase on the left-hand side here. This is where you, like Kelsey said, you've done your degree, your courses, your awards, you've done maybe a little bit of volunteering, you're trying to differentiate yourself, you made a resume, congratulations, that's all the before stuff. The stuff that we're going to talk about today is the prep stage. So this is perfecting your resume, not just making one, but making a good one. Focusing on networking. So what do you actually need to be able to get a job? Who do you need to know is really, really critical. And we're going to teach you how to find those people. And social media. This is your LinkedIn. This is your, even your personal social medias, your Instagram, your Facebook. People look at that, believe it or not, depending on the type of job. After this, and we can do these in the breakout sessions if there's interest, we can talk about interviews, and then we can also talk about negotiations. And what I want you guys to focus on this visual is that negotiation can actually make or break the impact you have on your career. So you may get the job, but if you're not able to negotiate at the end of it afterwards, maybe for a better salary or more vacation, you can make your life harder. Or if you negotiate poorly, let's say you're too ambitious, you can actually hurt your first day at office, which is not really fun either. So we'll go through that a little bit as well.
So we want to help you guys understand why your resume is so important, but also the importance of networking. So this is Naveed's resume here. So how many jobs do you think Naveed got with his resume?
Catherine, maybe you can help us out with the poll for this. Love to get people's responses if possible.
Absolutely. We're just experiencing technical difficulties on that one, but they should be coming up shortly.
Awesome, thank you. And while we're waiting to get that, just the reason that we're even asking this question is we want you guys to understand how much a resume actually makes a difference in your career. So a lot of people think that a resume is what gets you a job. Some people think it's who you know. Some people think it's what you do. Maybe while we're waiting for the poll, if you guys want to just throw in the chat, how many you think? So I see one estimate at 10. I haven't had 10 jobs yet, but I appreciate the vote of confidence that my resume is good enough to get me 10 jobs. Five of the jobs shown here. Oh, five. Five's a good guess. I like the fives. Anyone think less, maybe? 7. All 7. Oh, wow. Okay. 7 out of 8. 4. I like that too. Okay, 3. Okay, now we're getting some more realistic ones. Terry, I don't appreciate the hard number, but I guess we'll show you guys what the result looks like after this inside. Okay. Drum roll. The answer is some of them. Kelsey, any comments here?
Yeah, so I guess like as you guys can see, his resume was a pretty big factor in getting him kind of kicked off in his career, but a lot of his other jobs have just been personal connections and like within big corporations.
Yeah. What we're trying to show you guys here is that this is your resume gets you your first few jobs. It makes a big difference, especially at the beginning of your career. But later on, after the first job, you need to know how to network with people. So if you guys are someone who's maybe getting your first job, don't discount this. I promise it's not just my resume that got me the job. It's definitely the bigger factor when I got my first shell position, for example. But as I went on, definitely who you know made a huge difference. So just keep this in mind. Your resume is important, but it's definitely not the be all and end all. Okay. All right. We're gonna talk about LinkedIn. So I will run this part of the presentation. I would like everyone to open their own LinkedIn page. If you don't have one, it's about time to make one. I don't think you'll be able to do it in this session, but I will say with some level of confidence as somebody who hires a lot of EITs and younger folks, your LinkedIn page is an absolute must. I'd argue even that this is more important than your resume these days. So really make sure your LinkedIn profile is good. So we'll talk about some key things, and in the chat, if you have questions about what I'm talking about, feel free to ask. Maybe you don't agree with one of my points. I'd love to hear it. But anyways, without further ado, this is how to set up your LinkedIn account. So first things first, you got to have a photo. And it's not just any photo. It's not you in a t-shirt. It's not you in, I don't know, riding a bike or something like that. Unless you're a professional bike rider, in which case maybe that's okay. But here we want to have a nice professional photo of you smiling. Smiling is very important. It shows that you're approachable. Maybe you're friendly. You're not a mean grouch. Really critical. The next important thing is title. So in this case, I work as a project engineer for CNRL. I was the founder of Ladderly, and I have a Lean Six Sigma black belt. So I really want to focus on the big things that I have to offer. Now, for a lot of you guys that are going to become EITs, and you guys are discipline engineers, so let's say you're an electrical EIT, you should definitely put here electrical EIT. Even though you don't have the position yet, that's still your title. You can still call yourself that. I think that's still really, really important. So a good question about certificates. I would say that depends on what type of certificate you have. So for example, if you have Google Cloud Analytics and you want to show that off, definitely you can throw that in the title. Again, the title is just to show people what you do. So certification should be really, really related to what you do. A good example of a certification would be a gold standard building certificate. So for example, if you do LEED in buildings, that's like HVAC controls and making sure the building's a green building, that's a really good one to have. Lean Six Sigma, like I said, is a really great one. Any sort of major Google certificate, or if you have a PMP or a PN, it'd be really good to throw in your title as well. Great question. Feel free to keep asking. I'll try and answer them as we go. Your location is also really important here. So I'm actually moving to London actually next week I'll be moving to London. I'm moving to the UK. So as part of this, I'm also going to have to go through trying to change my job. And so putting your location as to where you want to work is really critical. So a lot of people ask us at Ladderly, I live in Edmonton, but I want to work in Calgary. What should I put as my location? In my opinion, you should put your location to be the place you're going to work in. And in that case, it's Calgary. Recruiters aren't going to be offended by this and they won't think that you're lying. Essentially, it just helps them find you in their search. And if you're going to move there anyways, you can definitely put the city that you're going to be in. So don't stress it too much. Okay, poll just came up. What do you need the most help with? Networking or resume? Oh, this is a good one, actually. Let's see what the results are here on this one. All right, a lot of people looking for networking support, a little bit of resume. That's good. So for those of you who are interested in support from your network, 100% these things that we're telling you about your LinkedIn profile are absolutely key. Yeah, 44. Wow, that's a lot of people. Okay, almost 80% of you guys want to know about networking. So I'd say that this is absolutely critical. Just really pay attention to the networking components here. Just seeing asking the chat, would you recommend putting abbreviations like EAT or full forms like engineering training? I think it depends on where you want to work. So if you want to work in Alberta, I think EIT is perfectly fine. New grad is also okay if you're not an engineer. You can, if you need something because you don't have enough space for everything, you can put engineering training. But I would say that most people in Alberta know that EIT is what an EIT is and what you do. So I think that's totally fine. And then professional geo folks as well, that'll apply for you. Great question, Sarthik. I appreciate that. Okay, moving on. What else do we need to know here? Really important is your work experience section. So you want your work experience section to be complete. I cannot tell you how many people come to Ladderly and make appointments with us and they don't have a complete work experience section. This is the point of your page where you want to shine. So I would recommend including only the things that are going to help you get a job in your engineering firm. So I work with a lot of students, for example, who work at Staples or Starbucks while they are in school, and I think that's fine. I think it's important to be able to afford school and develop some work experience, but I would really focus on your resume for engineering experiences. So if you've had a co-op experience or an internship, that's what you want to show here. If you've got job progression, you want to show that here. So that's what I'm talking about when I say a complete work experience section. For your work experience section, you can take a super short summary of your thing. So as an example, I've replaced a 605-foot radio tower. I've installed 2 kilometers of power lines. And again, what I'm just trying to show you here is that it's a very, very quick summary. If you want to know what kind of projects I've done, this shows it. And the part that I think a lot of people miss is the experience highlights. So this is media that you can add to your jobs. You can add, I think, up to 7 or something. And in this case, I've got, for example, a photo of some fiber optic cable, a big piece of equipment I relocated, and a power line that I built. This really speaks to your what you do, and it really means a lot to the people who are looking at it. They don't just think, oh, what kind of work did they do? But if they work, for example, as a water treatment engineer at Gold Bar Water Treatment Plant, show a picture of some of the work you did. I think it makes a big difference. Another question, in the experience section, should we mention every position, i.e. promotions held within an organization, or only the last one? Oh, great question. I recommend showing all of the roles you had, as long as it doesn't become cumbersome. So for example, if you were promoted twice in a job, definitely worth putting the promotion. It shows vertical growth, and I'll show you guys my LinkedIn profile after this. You can see how many different jobs I've had at CNRL, and it shows that I grow. I also suggest that when you become a PEng, you show that you become a PEng at a certain date, and I'll also show you what that looks like. So good question. Eliza asks, can I add projects and experience or have it as a separate section? That's a good question. I think that projects in the project section makes more sense to me, unless it was specifically a paid experience. Now your resume, I think is the same. For your resume, it also have a separate project section, and we'll talk about the different resume sections later, but I would keep experience to work experience unless you were paid for the project, or it was, for example, for a third-party external contractor. Like let's say you did a project at the U of A that was for, I don't know, Tesla. I think that would be okay to include in experience. You have to use your judgment here a little bit. You don't want to be dishonest and say you worked for Tesla, but you could say that you worked for the U of A and you did a project for Tesla or something like that. So honesty is important because you want to be consistent. But great question, guys. Keep them coming. Okay, what else? Clean URL. So for those of you who don't know, you can actually create a clean URL link. What does that look like? That looks like, you can see it's just my full name. It doesn't have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So check your own LinkedIn page right now and see if you have these numbers. Maybe you have numbers behind them, maybe you don't. Maybe it doesn't even have your name. But this is really nice because now you can just copy paste this into your resume, and it's only, whatever, a handful of characters long. So this is a really, really super powerful thing to do. And we get a lot of questions about the open to work banner or the symbol around your face. Should you include this? Should you not include it? I don't know. It's a bit of a debate. Some people think that it comes across as desperate. Some people think that it's really good for flagging recruiters. I think both of those statements are true. I would say use it at your own discretion. If you don't have to use it, I wouldn't. But if you really need a job right away, then open to work might be the better choice for you. Again, that's your decision, but just know that it comes with a bit of a risk. Okay. Last sections, about me. About me section is really important. So why is it important? It's very important to practice talking about yourself. When you go to the interview and you want to land a job, you need to be able to speak about yourself. It's a good opportunity to practice. Hot tip, and Kelsey knows this because we've done this. If you can't write this by yourself and you're really struggling, ask your friend to write it for you. They'll give you a very honest opinion of what they think you are, and you will also see opportunities for improving what they wrote based on what they missed in their discussion. So think about that as well. And then again, for certifications and stuff like that, you don't need to put every last certificate you've ever done or your women's training or your first aid or whatever. That doesn't need to be on your resume. You can put that in your licenses and certifications. So for example, I took a course at Berkeley Extension. I did math, X402 math for management. I got an A in it. It doesn't need to be on my resume, but it's cool that it's on my LinkedIn page. Okay. We are going to need a volunteer. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Yeah, fill this out. This is an important question. Thank you, Catherine, for posting this up. this is super critical. Do you feel nervous about reaching out to someone on LinkedIn? The reason I'm going to ask is because I am going to get you guys, or I'm going to ask one of you to be brave and be a volunteer for us to do a live LinkedIn message together. Kelsey, you've seen this done before. Any thoughts on the live networking presentation?
Yeah, guys, this is a super awesome opportunity to pick our brains and send out a really good message that could help you guys land a job.
Yeah, so some of the things that you need to do if you're willing to be our volunteer today is you need to be willing to be recorded. You have to have a LinkedIn account, obviously, because we got to send a message via LinkedIn, and you want to work for your dream company. This is the most important one. So while you guys are deciding if you want to be a volunteer, and you feel free to identify yourself in the chat or just coming off video, I will show you some skills, but maybe just wait a second. Is there anyone who would like to be a volunteer for today's session? I promise it will be rewarding. I can even say that the last person who did this landed a job from the skills that they learned today during this session. So come off of mute, the brave one. We need one brave person.
I am willing.
Oh, there we go. We got a volunteer. Is it Cyril? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Amazing. Cyril, a round of applause for you for being brave. I promise you don't have to do anything other than help me out here. But if you don't mind, would you be willing to take yourself on video for us? Or sorry, put yourself on video for us?
Sure.
Amazing. Look, everyone in the chat, this is the bravest person in the room right now. So kudos to you. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself before we start doing this networking example.
So I finished my bachelor's in industrial engineering from University of Regina. Right now I'm looking for jobs. I haven't found any yet. So I thought I would attend this session, and I think it's good.
That's awesome. What kind of job do you want to get? What's your dream job? Tell me your company.
Shell. I like process engineering jobs. So I have heard about the Shell graduate program. That's pretty good. Yeah, I would say if you ask me to pick a company, I would say Shell is my dream company.
That's awesome. Just so you know, Cyril, I worked at Shell. I did the Shell graduate program. I highly recommend it. And today you and I we're gonna learn how to send a message to someone on Shell, okay?
Sure, thank you.
So you don't need to do anything just yet. I'm going to first ask you to take a look at this message. And I'd like you to just tell me what you like about it. I will read it out loud for everyone who doesn't have video. And then I'd like you to tell me the things that you like about this message. This message is from Angela. She's one of our mentors here at Ladderly. And this is a cold message she actually sent to someone in October of 2028. So it says, "Hey Liz, I'm a current software engineering student. I'm really interested in sustainability and green tech. I'd love to hear about your journey into tech. I'm also a career switcher. And the work that you do at whatever company that was, let me know if you have some time for a quick chat next week." So Cyril, what do you like about this message?
I think it's brief, and also it has a positive tone to it. I also think it's not like pressing you so much, but still it gets the point across pretty well.
So I think that's a really good, some really good comments. I like the fact that you identified that it was brief. I think it's really important to remember that people have only so much time in a day. So we want to keep our messages brief. Okay, so other things that I think would be important for us to do when we make our message together. I think that it's important to express interest, that you are, for example, interested in sustainability and green tech. In Angela's case, for you, Cyril, if you want to do process, maybe you're interested in process or petrochemicals or whatever, so we can include that in our message together. Connecting a highlight. So in this case, she messaged someone who switched their jobs. For you, Cyril, we're going to find someone who worked at the U of A, and that'll be our connection. And then a call to action is essentially a request for a quick coffee chat or something like that next week. How do you feel about this? Do these feel, I don't know, do these resonate with you?
Yeah, I think it's, yeah, I feel it's pretty good.
Awesome. Okay, So I'm going to teach you how to do this. I'd like you to open your LinkedIn. You're not going to share your screen. I'll share mine, but we will go to LinkedIn together and you'll follow along. And I'm going to teach you how to find a job at Shell. So let me know when your LinkedIn's open, and everyone on the call, feel free to open your own LinkedIn and follow along. You got your LinkedIn open, my friend?
Yeah, I am just opening.
Perfect. All right. So in the search bar at the top, I want you to type the name of the company you want to work for. So in this case, for Cyril, it's Shell. So we're going to type Shell and we're going to click on Shell there. Okay, awesome. Shell came up, and then we're just going to go on Shell's company webpage. All right. So you guys have probably looked at these pages for each company before, but I don't know if you've noticed the People tab. Have you ever clicked this People tab before, Cyril?
Yeah.
Naveed, your
Okay.
screen isn't sharing. Do you want to
Oh,
show us your LinkedIn profile?
yeah. Thank you so much for letting me know. You guys can see it now, hopefully. I'll see what the save for the day.
Yes, got it now. Thank you.
Thank you. So for everyone who's on here, I'll just do it again really quickly. We're going to go to type our company in the search bar, hit Shell for us, and then we're going to go to here to go to Shell. And then we're going to go down on the page and we're going to find this little tab called the People tab. So I want you all to go to the People tab of the company that you want to work for. Click on People. And this is the most powerful tool in the entire arsenal of this thing. So Cyril, for you, do you want to work in Shell? Like where do you want to work at Shell? In Saskatchewan, in Alberta, where do you want to work for Shell?
No, I mean, I know Lloyd has some openings, and also like Calgary has some openings. So somewhere in the prairies.
Prairies, okay. So let's first find our connection. So we're going to put the University of Alberta here. We're just going to type it in. And it's going to load, and it's going to take a long time. Okay, sweet. We found 368 people who work here from the University of Alberta, and we want to work in, let's say, Calgary, for example. So we're going to click on Calgary here. So now we got two filters. We got the U of A, we've got Calgary, and now let's see what our results are for the people here. So these are all people who graduated at the University of Alberta, and they also worked at Calgary. So there's a lot of people here. I know a lot of these people. I've worked with a lot of them, some really smart folks, and a lot of people I don't know. So let's find someone who does process engineering. So I'm just going to keep going down the list here. We got production, trading, crude, process. Perfect. Kayla works as a process engineer. But I know Kayla, so I'm not going to use her as an example. We are going to find another process engineer for you here. 1 second. Obviously, there's not going to be one when you need it. Have you found a process engineer by chance, Cyril, on the list?
No, not yet.
Okay. Let's see, find a different process one. If we can't find one, we'll just use someone else as an example. Let's use the petroleum engineer as an example. I know it's not quite right, but it's a good place to start, okay? So
Sure.
I click on Phil's profile here. Let's take a look at what he's done. So Phil also went to the University of Alberta. You can see it right away at the top. Down, he did his bachelor's in applied science in civil engineering. So he's a civil engineer, but he's doing petroleum engineering. So we are now going to formulate a message together. So let's go back to our presentation here really quickly. Come down here, and together we're going to create a message. This is very intimidating. So guess what? I'm going to take all the hard work away, and we're going to use a Ladderly tool to be able to actually make the whole message for us. We just have to fill in the blanks, okay?
Sure.
So on the Ladderly website here, under the resources tab, you're going to find a networking cheat sheet. And I'll send you guys all this link so you don't have to look for it. But essentially it looks like this. So in your case, you've already graduated. When did you graduate?
In December 2022.
You graduated in 2022. Okay. So let's use this template, and then we're going to modify it together to get to know this person. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. So I'm going to throw it here. Paste. So you're going to say, hey, what's the guy's name again? Do you remember? Phil. Phil. I am a new grad from the University of Alberta. In your case, you're going to put University of Saskatchewan, and you'd find someone from Saskatchewan, right?
Yeah, Regina actually.
Oh, University of Regina. All right, let's do that. So I'm a new grad from the University of Regina, and I'm really interested in process engineering. I noticed that you are in let's pretend he's from Regina just because we weren't able to find someone from Regina fast enough. You are U of R grad. And I'd love to hear about your journey into production. And the work that you do at Shell. Let me know if you have some time for a quick chat next week. Cheers, Cyril. Hey, so guess what? You are now going to send this message to one of the U of R grads. And I feel bad because I forgot that you went to the U of R. So we're going to really quickly, in just a couple seconds, find someone who went to the U of R, not to U of A. University of Regina. Perfect. Business development, IT information, senior control systems program, IT production, West trader, product analyst. Let's go with Dina for this example.
Sure.
We're gonna take her name, put her name here, Dina. Diana. Does what again? She does carbon and environment. So, okay, cool. So we would copy this message like we prepared together, and in your own thing, you hit this little connect button. And then you're gonna get, not all of us have LinkedIn Premium, so we can't message people, but we can add a note. So here, Cyril, you would put your message here, paste as plain text, read it one more time, make sure that, oh, we are actually out of words. That's good to know. So we got to shorten this up, but essentially we would shorten it up and make it fit in the 300 words. Of course, this always happens when we do something live, but you send this message. How comfortable does this make you feel? Does this make you feel a little more comfortable? Is it a little easier?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Okay. Would you be willing to send a message live right now? Would you be willing to share your screen and do that?
Sure, I can.
Awesome. Do you want to take control of the screen? I'll stop sharing.
Sure, just a minute.
Sure.
Can you send me the text that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely do that. It's your text, so you can send it. I'll throw it in the chat, and then you can just copy paste it out of there. And everybody else can copy paste this too, because I want you all to be able to use it. Okay. While Cyril's doing that, are there any questions about the message that we've made together? Feel free to type them in the chat or ask any questions about this. I'm hoping you guys are doing this, and if you actually manage to send a message live during the session, please let us know. Oh, and thanks, Kelsey, for the Ladderly resource. That's really important. Are you typing it in, Cyril?
Yeah, I'm trying to copy and paste, but it's not letting me first.
It's not letting you copy paste. Awesome. Kelsey, you've done a lot of these. What's your sense? You think we got a good message here?
Yeah, it's a pretty good message.
Any room for improvement?
Me being really picky, I am a new grad from the University of Regina student, so probably should get rid of the student.
Thank you. Even the group didn't catch that. And I put, this is not even proper grammar. Process engineering, Shell, I noticed that you're U of R grad. I'd love to hear more about your journey into carbon emissions regulation and the work you do at Shell. I think I have Shell twice here. That's not great. Let's get rid of Shell here. Cool. And you're right, I am 2 times in your message. I am, oh, thank you. Mariam, you guys, this is good. See, this is what the teamwork makes the dream work. I'm a new grad from the University of Regina. I also noticed that you're a U of R grad, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Cyril, have you sent your message yet?
Yeah, just finishing it up.
Amazing. Okay. Let us know. Send it. We want to know.
Sure.
One other thing I would recommend is in the call to action part, where we're saying, let me know if you have some time for a quick chat next week. Sometimes it's nice if you can like define that a little bit more. So you could say, do you have time for a 15-minute Zoom call, especially if they're not in the same city? I have like previously asked people if they would be willing to like go for lunch or go for coffee, and have had all right success with that. So those are also ideas you can use.
Okay.
So Eliza's asking if it's worth getting LinkedIn Premium for networking. That's up to you. I think that you can only send so many of these messages, and you don't have access to every last person on the planet. There's a limit to how far away from your person that you're allowed to reach on LinkedIn. It can be expensive to have LinkedIn Premium, so you will have to make the decision as to whether it's worth it for you. I think though, it's a good investment if you're really struggling, but I think there are other things you can do before buying LinkedIn Premium that you need. So hopefully that answers your question, Eliza.
By the way, I'm ready to send.
Perfect. Do you want to share your screen and show us you're going to send it?
Sure.
Or maybe you can share your screen. If you can't, that's okay too.
Just
No, probably you can't. Probably it's, oh, there we go. Look at that. Oh, okay, let's have a read together. Read it over out loud for us, and let's make sure it's good, and then we'll send it over.
sure. Hey Dana, I'm a new grad from the UFR, really interested in process engineering jobs at Shell. I noticed you're a UFR grad, and I would love to hear about your journey into carbon emission regulation and work at Shell. Let me know if you have some time for a quick chat. Thanks.
Awesome. It's pretty good. So maybe just a couple of changes really quickly before you hit send. Let's just put Friday or some day that you're free for the date that you're going to do it.
Okay.
So yeah.
Should I write weekend or preferably?
Yeah, I think a weekday would be better, if maybe Friday after work or something like that.
So then it's hitting the limit.
I'm setting the limit. Okay. Then let's just leave it like that then. I don't wanna, but just it's for and not tour.
And in your last sentence, just it should be if. Let me know if you have instead of it.
Okay. Feeling ready? Feeling nervous?
Yeah, but that's okay.
All right. Hit send. Let's send it off.
Sure.
Oh, amazing. Okay. A round of applause for Cyril. Well done, my friend. You sent your first cold message. It's kind of scary sometimes, but I think you did great. Pat on the back. How do you feel? How does this make you feel?
I hope I get a job.
I hope you get the job too. I want you to become a process engineer at Shell. It's really, really good. Well done, Cyril. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to take back the screen share. Yeah, that was exciting. I like that. That was fun. Thank you again. For everyone on the call, this is kind of what we would want to do, and this is really how you approach this kind of a situation. Cold messaging is hard, but we've done the work for you. So feel free to use the Ladderly messages. Okay, new poll here. Should I reach out to a recruiter or an employee if you want to get a job? Oh, so the poll results right now are pretty close to 50-50. I'll let you guys see the results when it's done. Oh, almost exactly 50-50. Everybody thinks, half of you think recruiter, half of you think employee. I'm interested. For those of you who said what your choice was, feel free to just really quickly in the chat also explain why. Maybe just a couple more seconds for the remainder of the people. Guys, if you're on the call, definitely reply to the poll. You're not going to get anything out of this if you're just watching. I'm calling you guys out. Okay, while that poll is finishing, you know what? I'll just end the poll. For those, I hope you guys can see the results. So 53% of you guys said that you should reach out to a recruiter, and 47% of you said you should reach out to an employee. Okay, so it was a bit of a trick question, and I'm a little bit mean in the sense that I didn't tell you that. So you would always reach out to a recruiter if you are looking for a job opportunity that you know what you want to do. So for example, if you saw, like Cyril, if he saw a job at Lloydminster that he really wanted to do, and he wants to be a candidate for that job, it'd be a really good opportunity for him to reach out to a recruiter and say, hey, I saw this posting as a process EIT in Lloydminster. I would be really interested to just chat more about it and I don't know, learn more about the role. Then a recruiter is definitely the right person to reach out to. Recruiter also is the right person to reach out to if around their face in the photo they have a hiring badge. That's the guy you want to talk to. That's the person who's hiring. You want to reach out to them. For those of you who said employee, you are also right, believe it or not. For employees, you are reaching out to them for not a job, you're reaching out to them for a network. So you want to talk to them if they potentially work on a team that you want to work on, or you want to learn what the best way is. And you know what? If you make a good connection, this person could be a reference for when you actually want to get that job. So an employee is definitely a good person to reach out to, but don't message an employee ever and ask for a job or say that you're looking for a job. Just ask them for your experience. Unless they have the hiring badge around them, then you can say, hey, I'm interested in working for, let's say, Shell, for example. Okay. Kelsey, it's your turn, my friend.
All right. I'm gonna move on to resumes for my like 6 or 8 friends that are interested in resumes. So one of the biggest things we do at Ladderly is resume reviews. So I've got a couple samples up here on the screen. We've got Pam Dugo on the left, and we've got our sample resume on the right. Can you guys put into the chat? Oh,
Oops, sorry.
it's gone. Into the chat, can you guys pop in some things that you think might be wrong with the resume or resumes?
Just trying to make this as big as possible for everybody in the chat to be able to see. I actually don't think that's any better, so I'm just going to put it back in presentation.
Do you want to put it into presentation? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so we're getting quite a few photos. That's the big one for sure. Anything else?
This is for full transparency. There's so many things wrong with this. I hope you guys catch at least 3 or 4 of them.
Cool. Yeah, so we got quite a bit going now. So we'll start off with the photo. If you guys are putting a photo on your resume, which is not something we would recommend, but if it is there, make sure you choose a really professional photo. So something similar to like what Naveed had said for your LinkedIn profile. You want something professional, we can see your face, etc. What else? The use
But
of
no photo.
fonts.
Sorry, Kelsey, just to jump in there. No photo is better than photo, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I know it's we do see lots of resumes at Ladderly coming in with photos, and it's typically something that we would recommend taking off for sure. All right, other things, the infographic at the top for sure. So we have customer and then Dugo, which we're going to assume is the guy applying for the job. And then we end up with some sales. So it's pretty not necessarily the most professional thing to put in, and it's like a little confusing. And generally we're like, what does that mean? Obviously the use of fonts for sure. Make sure you use clear and concise fonts. What else? Helped like 50 customers. That's a good one for sure. So within their work experience, a lot of it is all right, but right in the first one for Walmart sales associate, he helped like 50 customers. So make sure the language that you're using in your resume is professional, clear, concise. If you helped about 50 customers or approximately 50 customers, or you want to be a little bit more specific in what you're trying to say. Alignment is a big one for sure. And then the bottom, skills percentage. We've seen this a lot lately where people are putting a percentage of skills. So, for example, the first one says 35% MS Office. So what does that mean exactly? Like, do you understand 35% of the MS Office suite? Are you 35% good at it? So just make sure if you have something like this, it's not something we would recommend, but if you do, make sure you can back it up and have some sort of like explanation of it.
I think it's
So I guess the moral of the story here is that your boring resume is better. We want something that a recruiter can look at really quickly and easily. It follows like specific sections. Your contact information is at the top. And another big thing, if any of you guys are U of A co-op students, we would always recommend that you would use the U of A co-op resume.
Hey, Kelsey, I have a question for you. My resume is not that great right now, and I kind of want to make it better. Should I include a hobbies section or not?
Ooh, that's a good question. You can, I guess would be the moral of the story. You can include a hobby section. I would just try and keep it relevant for the type of career you're looking for.
Yeah. I feel bad. So just everyone on the call, I'm giving Kelsey a bit of a hard time. We both really struggle with this question. Hobbies are good because they show personality. It shows that you're not just a robot. But some people put hobbies like Bitcoin mining or I don't know, skydiving. It kind of like things that don't really super reflect well, may have some weird connotations behind it. But if you say like, and I kind of chose this resume as an example on purpose because the hobby section says jujitsu. And I think jujitsu is great as a hobby. I think that shows a lot of like, whatever, self-discipline. It's a cool thing to do. It also tells me a little bit about you. Philosophy, I would leave off, to be honest with you. I don't think philosophy is a great hobby because it just means like, are you going to be a philosopher at work? I don't really understand that. So that's something I'd leave off as well. But otherwise, guys, well done. I think you did an excellent job finding a lot of the problems with this. Also, just a fun note, this one's 90%, this one's 100%. And for some reason, they're both at the same level as percentages. Small thing, but funny nonetheless. Sorry, Kelsey, back to you, my friend. You want to go to the next slide?
You betcha.
Perfect.
Okay, do you guys want to take a look at your resumes and let us know what type of font you use and what kinds of sizes you're using for your bullet points and the main text of your resume?
Yeah, so just drop it in the chat when you have your resume open. Everybody chooses different font sizes for different reasons, and there's not to say that there's a right or a wrong, but I'm going to tell you there's a wrong. But what do you think the right font size should be, or what is your font size? Just drop it in the message or in the chat right now. 11.
Perfect.
Some calibri, even some fonts. I like that. 14 and 12. Should we add any?
Yeah, these all look pretty good. So typically we would recommend just anything that is easily legible. So Times New Roman, perfect. Arial, perfect. Calibri, pretty good for sure. And then always make sure your text is greater than size 10. I know we see some resumes where people are trying to like jam a lot of stuff in there and then they keep shrinking their text size. I'd always recommend to like print off your resume and have a look, like, is it clear? Do I need to, like, will a recruiter need to like squint to be able to read it? Yeah, I don't see any weird fonts, which is awesome. Occasionally we get some super bizarre things for sure.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, that looks good. Okay.
We've also seen some font sizes as small as size 6. Never put size 6 on your resume. I don't know if the recruiter is going to read it with a magnifying glass, but yeah, not ideal. Okay. Oh, this is important actually. So just before you speak to this, Kelsey, there was a question about adding a statement section in your resume. Maybe you can talk about that a little bit here while you go through this, like a professional profile, I think is what you use.
Yeah, that's obviously, it's like a style choice, kind of similar to adding your hobbies section. I think it would depend on what kind of job you were applying for specifically. What are your thoughts, Naveed?
Yeah, I would say like a professional profile, and you're going to talk about the breakdown here in a second, but I don't like professional profiles. I never have. I think that you can say a lot without your professional profile, but sometimes, especially if you have a much softer job, like, I don't know, if you or in business or product management or something like that, then maybe a professional profile makes more sense. Sorry, Kelsey, go ahead. Tell
All right.
us the breakdown.
Okay, so generally speaking, this follows our resume templates on Ladderly.ca. So if you're a new grad with like not a ton of experience, your education is really what's going to get you your job. So we would recommend including any sort of awards that you've received, any type of scholarships, and then also you can include your GPA. We typically recommend you do that if your GPA was above the 3.2, just as like a general rule of thumb. And then moving on to your like work experience or any sort of project works that you've done for your undergrad or your MSc. Then tech skills. So this is more so aimed at people who are like electrical engineering or interested in the tech industry. So that should be like any kind of coding that you do, what languages, and some sort of indication of your proficiency. And then you will need to include your certifications and memberships. So we see this a ton, specifically for engineers. If you are an EIT, make sure you put that on your resume. That's a really important thing. So yeah, whatever kind of professional membership you belong to, make sure you include that. And then last is any sort of community involvement. So this is like your volunteer work or any sort of like extracurricular activities you do, stuff like that, that would be relevant to your career path. And then the other main resume template is an experience hire. So this is kind of more aimed at people that already have some work experience. So this needs to include, first of all, your work experience, since this is like really what is going to get you your job in the long run. And then you should include your education awards and scholarships. And you can also include your GPA here as well. If you, again, are above a 3.2 is typically what we would recommend. Next would be any tech skills, specifically for people in the tech industry, and then any sort of soft skills. I guess as you move up through your career, if you're like interested in management and that sort of project management, your soft skills become pretty critical. And then you can add in your certifications and memberships and community involvement similar to a new grad.
Just a big hint for those on the call. Guys, take a screenshot of this. I want to see resumes. If you come to Ladderly for help, I want to see your resume in this format. It'll help us make your experience quicker. And if you choose not to come to us, it's also fine. But make sure that your resume is following some sort of consistent format. So screenshot, I'll leave it up for a couple more seconds. Yeah. Any questions on this for Kelsey? Feel free to ask away. I know that earlier there were some questions about actually there's one question earlier that we missed about having every single experience you've had on your resume. Kelsey, what do you think about that? Should people put every single experience they've ever had?
No, definitely not. For sure. I would recommend, yeah, making sure your resume is within like the 2-page limit for almost every situation I've seen.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I guess include like relevant information. Like, for example, my first job was working at Costco, and at this point in my career, it doesn't need to be on my resume anymore.
Couple more questions coming in here. Question about, is this what this is what they're trying to say, is this what they call a Canadian format for a resume? What do you think, Kelsey? Do you think this is a Canadian format?
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I think so. I think this could even apply to some American jobs. American resumes are slightly different, but I think this is pretty consistent across Canada. And then another question, Kelsey, any reference section? Should we include a reference section in a resume?
It's not critical. Like if you have your references like contacted and they know that you're applying for jobs, you can include it. But we typically, I know I don't have that included in my resume, and I don't believe Naveed does either.
No, I don't have it either. I would stay away from reference sections. You will always get people who who will ask for your references if they want them. You don't even need to put references upon request. Don't even bother. It's just assume that you will have references, and if you don't have them, just make sure you're lined up with them. Another question for you, Kelsey, can we include any tech skills that are not related to the job we are applying to? For example, including a Google Analytics certification when I am applying to a process engineering job.
That's a tough question. I guess like you could take it off your resume and make sure it's always included in your LinkedIn profile is one option. Specifically, like if you don't have a lot of room left on your resume.
I will say that if you don't have a lot of technical skills, let's say you did chemical engineering and you don't have a lot of other certifications or anything of value, I think this is a good one to put, for example, instead of WMIS or first aid or something like that. I like to see certifications because it means you've tried to learn a new skill and that shows some merit. I would say though, if you are experienced, let's say you are a process engineer with 7 years of experience or 5 years of experience, and you're putting you have data analytics from Google, it doesn't really make sense because there's no value. It doesn't add to your job. So I would say it depends on your experience level, but it's definitely, I would like to see it if you're a new grad. I think that would be good. And like Kelsey said, always put it on your LinkedIn. It's good to have. Okay. All right. Kelsey, go ahead. Sorry.
No worries. Okay, so when Naveed and I or anyone else from Ladderly review your resume, we love to see your experience section using the STAR method. So it is a methodology that uses your work history and qualifications to create concrete examples of times where you exceeded your employer's expectations or just like undertook the daily expectations of your job. So there's 4 components to it. The first S is situation. So what situation or challenge did you face? Then you move on to the tasks. So what tasks were you involved with? What were your responsibilities and your goals within your job? And then you move on to the actions. So what actions did you specifically take to achieve the task? If you're working within like project teams and stuff like that, I would make sure you specifically show how you contributed to your team's effort and exactly like what kind of stuff that you worked on. And then finally is the results. So what was the outcome of your actions and how did it benefit your company? We really love to see when this can be like quantified. Sometimes it can and sometimes it can't. So kind of have to tackle that with each situation. And then your STAR statements can either be a single bullet point. So you can put like the situation, task, and action all within one sentence, or you can break this into multiple bullet points. So we're going to show you an example.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's a question about an example. I think good thing we have one lined up.
You bet. Okay, so this is Naveed's resume. We're going to pick on him a bit. So we really want to, this is going to be a really quick look. So we can see right away that Naveed worked at Shell. He worked on a project team. So yeah, we can see the task is working with project managers. His action, he showed us really like what aspects of the projects that he was working on. And then finally the results, we can see like a really quantified result. So they were awarded 14 million feasibility capital portfolio. He maintained projects costs within a 5% variance, which for any project management is a gold star for sure. And then his other results was new billing structure for the Shell project business. So he was able to cut employees. So it's a huge cost savings to the company. So we can right away see what kind of work Naveed did. We can see what kind of tasks he did, and we can see what the result for Shell was, and potentially what the result could be for the company that we're hiring for. So this is generally, I guess, the structure that we like to see.
Yeah. Take a screenshot if you haven't already. It's good to have in your back pocket. You can always come back and refer to it. These bullets kind of help you understand what you did. Just another note for your date. Man, I will say this because it is my biggest pet peeve. Put a clear date and put it in the same spot across your resume. people have dates all over their resume. They look different. They use brackets. They don't use brackets. They put the full August. They put the acronym AUG, whatever. But just be consistent. That's also pretty important. Okay. All right. So we are not done the presentation yet. We're just going to take a quick second for Q&A, and then we are going to go into a live resume review example. Maybe just really quickly, are there any questions that we haven't answered or things that you guys want us to talk about? Yeah, maybe just give it a second for that. Maybe while we're waiting, I can just mention some stuff that Ladderly's up to these days. So just for everyone to know, Ladderly is actually creating a couple of formal business partnerships where we're going to be working with businesses directly to get more mentors to help more people. And we are also going to be helping them actually directly recruit candidates that we think are good as well. So getting your resume reviewed by Ladderly doesn't only help you get a better resume, it may actually end up getting you a job, which is kind of cool. Again, we haven't done that just yet, but look out for that. It may come in the near future. Kelsey, I think we did such a good job that there are no questions, which I'm very impressed with us if that's the case. Okay, really quickly, I would love if we can have another live review, but in this time you have the option. We can review your resume profile together, or we can review your your LinkedIn profile or your resume. I'm gonna call for another brave person here. Is there someone who would like to be our person?
I think we got someone.
Oh, Mahdi. Okay, sweet. Mahdi, are you comfortable coming on audio and on camera? Oh. I'm not hearing Mahdi. I see that you're off of mute now, but I don't see that we can hear you. We'll give him one more minute here. I guess your mic doesn't work. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We will need your mic to work for this. Is there, so we can have in the breakout session, Mahdi, maybe we can help you with our resume more specifically, but is there someone else who feels brave enough, whose mic works and is willing to come on video and is willing to be recorded and all that stuff, like us to review their resume?
Pablo's here.
Pablo,
Yeah. Can you hear me?
we can hear you. Pablo,
Perfect.
can we see you?
Yeah, let me see. My camera's working. Okay, I think it's on. Can't see myself, but hopefully you guys can see me.
Can you see him, Kelsey? I can see Pablo. Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Perfect.
Pablo, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you want to do?
For sure. I'm a PhD student and I'm hoping to graduate in the next year, hopefully. So I'm getting my resume ready to submit and send it out to potential employers. So yeah, I would appreciate you guys' feedback on my resume.
We're more than willing to help you. Would you be comfortable with sharing your resume? And maybe while you're doing that, can you remind me what, do you have a specific industry you want to go into?
Yes, structural engineering.
Structural engineering.
So
I am also a structural engineer, so this is lucky day.
perfect.
Shell person and structural engineer.
Nice. By the way, I'm trying to share, but it says that I can't do that right now.
Oh, maybe we can ask Catherine for help. Catherine, can we give Pablo the opportunity to share if that's possible?
Pablo, you should be able to.
Okay,
Oh,
there we go. You should be able to see my resume now.
I'm just going to stop sharing. And okay, now I can see your resume. Awesome.
Perfect.
Kelsey, you can see the resume too, I hope. Awesome. Okay. All right. We will focus on some highlight stuff. We won't get into the nitty gritty. But yeah, let's take an overall look at your resume. If you don't mind, can you just slowly scroll down through the whole thing?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, cool. We got some good experience here. I like that. Product. Okay.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, there's no third page.
Yeah, yeah. This should be. This I'm not sure what's showing up, but yeah, that's it. It should be only 2 pages.
All right. I think first of all, thank you for agreeing to share. But man, I think this is already a pretty decent resume. I do have some comments though, so feel free to take some notes or make the changes as we go. And for those of you who are on the call, you guys can take notes as we go as well. So one of the first things, Pablo, that I would say is that I normally don't recommend you putting your name in the header. The reason why is because your name is, for some reason, in lighter text than the rest of your resume. Same thing goes for your email and your cell phone number. I recommend putting all those things in the actual body of the resume itself.
So like a title, like just like a title, not in the header, you're saying?
Exactly, not in the header.
Okay.
And again, same for the rest of it. So your email, your cell phone. Also, you're missing your LinkedIn profile. I don't know if you have one, but if you do, you should definitely put it in your header there. Also noticing you're missing the city that you work in, or that you want to work in at least. You definitely want to include that. So yeah, something to think about.
So Mike, I have a question about that. So
yeah.
What if you're open to multiple cities, let's say?
That's a good question. You got to be careful with that one. So if you are open to multiple cities, your LinkedIn profile is what they're going to use to determine where you're going to work. So if you don't put it on your resume, they're going to be like, oh, he lives in Edmonton. We're going to just, it's too far away or something like that.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And if you don't put a location on your LinkedIn profile, then recruiters can't find you if they're looking for you through LinkedIn. That makes it even worse. So I would recommend having a target city, one, but if you are open to multiple, also mention that, you can also mention that in the interview or whoever you're networking with to talk to. I would really try though. I don't really love the shotgun approach of trying to apply to a whole bunch of different places. I'd pick one and use that as your baseline is my suggestion.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, let's go back up to the profile. I just want to see your professional, summary. Okay, okay. So I told you that I personally don't like professional profiles. It's not, but if we're gonna do this, we'll work with what you have. So for yours, I really like the fact that you explained that you work with steel, concrete, and wood. Is there one of those that you're hoping to work on, or it doesn't matter for you?
No, it doesn't matter for me.
Okay, then it's fine to leave all of them. And then for your PhD, what was your PhD testing? Which material type was it?
Steel.
Steel, okay. I would mention in your summary that your PhD was specifically for steel. I know that it's based in your education section, but it'd be worth including there. And you're not just a structural engineering training, you're also a PhD. For some reason, that's not coming up in your title, though. You just got MSc.
Yeah, I'm still in the progress of finishing. So, but yeah, eventually, hopefully, once I graduate, I'll switch that from MSc to PhD. So
I would actually call yourself, instead of structural engineering training, I would say structural PhD candidate instead of structural engineering training. Even though you are in EIT, it's in your title, and people will know that. Okay. All right. I've spent a lot of time in the first 2 sections, and unfortunately, that's the most important 2 sections, but we will kind of go going through. Your education is good. I like the fact that you've identified that you have, for example, first-class standing. You put your thesis there and just 1 line. So very, very well done for your education section. The only thing I would suggest, if you had a GPA of over 3.2, you can include that as well if you like. Or if you've gotten any major awards, for example. Okay, now this is where I think a lot of master's students struggle, is their experience section, and PhD candidates too. We want to show that you have real work experience in the real world. And unfortunately, employers don't really love University of Alberta teaching assistant roles because it's not really real world experience. Now, that being said, tucked away underneath your research and teaching assistant role, you have a structural intern position at Dialogue. Dialogue is a very well-known company for structural engineering. That, in my opinion, should be the top thing on your resume. I also noticed, though, it's only 1 month. Why is it only a month?
Yeah, it was only part of a scholarship that they only provided for that term, for that amount of time. So it was not co-op or anything like that.
No, that's okay. I would just put May to June so that you can show one complete month, and that the dating all matches as well.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying get rid of your research assistant role. I would just put that in a other experience section instead of your major experience section.
What do you mean other experience section?
So when we have resumes, sometimes we create an experience section, and that's where you have the work that's related directly to the career that you have. And sometimes people have jobs that are not quite related to exactly what they're doing. And they're not really they're not really, for example, structural engineering jobs. So we put them in other experience. So you're still doing that, you're still getting paid for it. It's relevant, but it's not quite your professional work experience, if that makes sense.
Okay, I see. That's
So
it.
why do we suggest that? We suggest that because I want to see dialogue at the top. Your dialogue job is awesome. It's a company that's not the U of A, and it has a lot of weight. So I'd suggest that in your case. And for example, your co-founder and executive member of SCORE, I think would also work well in that section as well. But you can also leave it here. Did you actually make money out of this? Like, you did?
Yeah, so well, the money that we raised, it wasn't directly going to the people working. We donated it.
Okay.
Just
so this
like
is a non-profit kind of thing.
yes, exactly.
Okay, I would definitely put it in that other experience section instead of your professional experience section.
What do you generally title that section? Like other experience?
Yeah, or relevant. I put relevant experience. We call just because it's related, but it's not quite professional experience. So you would have a professional experience and a
I see.
relevant experience section. And the reason I say that is because the one that is Bridgecore, which is great. I think that's fantastic. I would love to see that right underneath your dialogue one, and then the city of Edmonton would come right after that. So you can see three really good, or city of Edmonton, not city of Calgary, but three really good like actual companies that you worked for experience, and then you can put your other stuff in the section as well.
I see.
Okay. Let's go to the second page here. So just for everyone on the call, because Pablo is a PhD candidate, I am with him having 2 pages. But for everyone else, master's students included, you should have a 1-page resume. You should not have more than that unless you have more than 5 years of experience. The exception to that is PhD candidates, and I will talk about why in this section. So Pablo, you've listed a whole bunch of skills here. I really like your skills section. I just think it's way too long. So I always say that you should have enough skills that you could read it in a couple of seconds. So you put the most important skills first, and I really skills here are the skills that I want to show, and your computer skills. Your other skills like management skills, language skills, and soft skills, I really don't recommend putting those on a resume ever. Why do I say that? If, for example, Kelsey gave me her resume, and Kelsey's resume said, I'm a great communicator, that doesn't mean anything to me. I should be able to tell from your writing style if you're a good communicator. I should be able to tell that you are organized by how you laid your resume out. I should not have to see you say that you're good at this. With technical skills, it's completely different. You need to tell me what specific skills you have. So for example, I like the fact that you put CSA as 16. As someone who's a structural engineer, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's very important to have. And your computer skills are really great too. S-Frame is fantastic. You have E-tabs. I would just remind you to put the softwares in order of importance, and same thing with your skills. Yeah, I would suggest those. And like, for example, your technical skills, you have technical writing. I would not include that. You don't need to.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
Thanks.
That will also cut down your resume a lot, which is really nice. You want to have less. And then your words are here. I think your words are fine. And your volunteering is here. You've got, I think in my opinion, too many volunteer stuff. Also, you have stuff from 10 years ago at Grant MacEwan. You don't need that, right? 10 years is way too long. I recommend like 5 years for volunteer experience at the most. And I honestly only recommend about 2 or 3 volunteer roles. One thing I'm not seeing here that I feel like is really missing is your publications. Have you published anything?
Yeah, I have, but I thought perhaps since I'm not looking to get into academia, perhaps that's not so relevant for industry jobs. But I don't know.
It's a good question. So do you have a Google Scholar page?
No, I don't.
So get a Google Scholar page, and you can put all your publications there, and people can reference them. And you can put your Google Scholar link in your title with your name and stuff like that.
that's good to know.
Okay.
Perfect.
Any other questions, Pablo? I feel like that was a pretty good summary of your resume.
Yeah, that was a really good feedback. I appreciate that. That was very nice, actually.
No, I'm glad that it
Thank
helped.
you.
I just want to see if there's any questions or comments in the chat. I'm not seeing any, but feel free to ask. Pablo, we'll let you go. Thank you very much for volunteering. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. I still don't see any questions, which again, we're doing a really good job here. Kelsey, I think is what it means. So we are going to do our breakout sessions now. So, before I do that, just really quickly, Christine's asking how many experiences should we want to include in their resume? I would say you include the most relevant jobs. So I've had 8 jobs, and I think in my case, only 4 jobs were relevant. So I included 4 relevant jobs. So I would say it's up to you, but less is more. As long as you have enough to fill out 1 page, I think you should be okay. Okay, sorry, derailing myself here. We're gonna go to breakout sessions. So as a reminder, Kelsey is doing the breakout sessions for hard engineering. I would say that those would be like electrical, mechanical, structural, civil. If you want to do detailed math and analysis, you can go with Kelsey. If you want to do maybe project management or project coordination, or you are in business or in law or some other discipline, come with me. If for those of you who just want to choose between us for personality or whatever, you're free to do that as well. We can both review projects and stuff like that, but we'll just be tailoring our presentations toward that. So Catherine, maybe you can help us with the option to switch to a room. Perfect. So feel free to jump in there, guys. We won't be joining this big session afterwards. So jump into those rooms. This is where the important stuff happens. So definitely not the time to leave. Oh, Kelsey's definitely the favorite person here. Everybody's joining her hard engineering session. Okay, keep going.
If they're really small, do we want to just combine and conquer?
I'm okay with this. I think you can do it. I'm looking forward to you having the hard engineering stuff. If it gets really small, like mine's soft, so I have 8 right now and you have 16. If you get 50 or something like that, just let me know and you can push some people to my room. Or let maybe whoever's helping you in your room to push some people to my room.
Can do.
Okay, we'll see you in the rooms.